Have you ever watched a movie that was so bad that it ended up being good?
Endless trash!
You know, there's something about the right amount of camp from a bad movie that makes it enjoyable. Whether it's the poor acting, cheesy dialogue, or low-budget effects, cracking the cold one with the boys while laughing at these movies can be some of the best entertainment there is. However, when it comes to bad video games, a lot of the time that same experience doesn't translate, and the end result often becomes frustration instead of an enjoyable afternoon.
I can see it. I don't know how to get there. Oh my god.
This is because all a movie wants you to do is to kick back and relax. A video game, on the other hand, is directed by the player, who will ultimately dictate the experience. The camp and unpolished nature of certain films is additive to the viewing experience. We as the viewer can see what is wrong with the movie, which makes the viewing experience fun at times. On the other hand, when playing a game that is bad, it often becomes a chore for the player to avoid what is wrong with the game in order for them to progress. Now, on occasion, seeing a bug in the game can lead to some hilarious moments, but when a game is littered with them, it becomes an unending nightmare. This is very much the case with Sonic 06, a game which is filled with camp, decently fun gameplay, but also plagued by bugs and unpolished mechanics. Now, I know it's commonplace for games to release completely unfinished these days. Heck, game developers expect us to pay them full price for games with less content and more bugs than games a decade or more older. Sonic 06, however, was a game that was made with passion and ambition, which in the end, cost it dearly. Despite the game's many shortcomings, it grew in popularity due to the negative attention it received over the years on YouTube.
I can't get off! What is this? I can't get off! What is this? I'm stuck! What is my life?
I call this the camp effect, because while the game at many times may not be fun to play, watching others struggle with it can give you that same feeling of watching a bad movie with your friends. At this point though, so many YouTubers and Let's Players have criticized this game that it's almost like beating a dead horse.
Oh my god, he's stealing all the burgers! Why, you little... I got you! Go! Go!
It's all just an act.
Stop! Stop! He's already dead.
This game gained a whole nother life by becoming a laughingstock.
Comedy gold.
This game's failures had become its legacy, and despite Sega's best attempts to erase that from the public image, it had already stuck. While by no means I seek to justify the broken state this game is in, I do think that there is a lot going for it. As already mentioned, the bugs in this game are really funny when you're watching it, but beyond that, the gameplay and storyline is straight up out of an anime. NANI? Watching a hedgehog travel back in time to save the world from an evil god is the type of absurd plotline that I can imagine seeing in an anime, and I'm here for it. It's all so over the top in such a fun way that you can't help but enjoy it. It really does hit all the right beats. Non-stop action, a plot that is goofy but can be serious when it needs to, and even a little something for you furries.
Don't let your kids watch it!
The problem is that while there is much to enjoy while playing this game, it can be easily overshadowed by bad game design and bugs. Take for instance the Silver the Hedgehog boss fight, a battle that is very simple, but extremely unintuitive and quite broken.
Dash him again. I can't, he locks me. He locks me and that is the end of it.
For 5 whole seconds.
Is there something I meant to do there? It's no use.
I mean, he's true, he's right. He does not lie.
The coin keeps coming back into me. The ring keeps coming back into me. I can't. I'm an endless.
I can't die.
I can't die.
Now this is hilarious when you're casually watching someone slowly lose their mind over this, but playing it yourself really puts a damper on things. Games don't need to explicitly show you what to do, but Silver's boss fight is so poorly made and goes against the Sonic gameplay loop. Beyond just that though, you saw how easily you could get stuck in an unending loop of being tossed around like a frisbee by Silver. This makes the game incredibly frustrating. You can be having fun 1 second and then feel like you're playing Dark Souls the next. This all boils down to Sega being too ambitious with this game, and instead of refining a core experience, they slap together cool ideas that don't pan out. For instance, something that I really adored about the first Sonic Adventure game was the open world. Being able to see it change with the story and explore it to find secrets is really cool. Sonic 06 tried to one-up this by making an even bigger open world, and at first glance it reminded me of the city on the water in Final Fantasy XV. But as you complete side quests and explore the world, you really see how empty and poorly designed it is. This section of the game could have been removed so that other parts of the game could be improved. Another area where Sonic Team got too ambitious was utilizing their physics engine for everything. I mean seriously, almost everything in this game has some type of physics tied to it, but it's apparent the toll that it takes on this game. Not everything ends up functioning correctly, and often the frame rate is heavily reduced because just about everything in this game can break apart in some way. This engine is really cool, but they ended up trying to do too much with it instead of utilizing it to the player in order to give Sonic momentum. It's really sad that a lot of their good intentions turned out so poorly. It's very evident that they had a lot of passion when making this and wanted to keep adding really cool features to make this the best Sonic game yet. But in this case, less is more. Going into this game, I was actually expecting to have a good time, regardless of notions I had from other reviews and such.
Why are you the way that you are?
Since I dived into Sonic content, I've actually enjoyed every game I've played, despite what a lot of the community says. I do have my gripes with this game, which we will get to, but I want to talk about what this game gets right. Looking back on this game, I really appreciate being able to play as multiple characters. This is a feature that's been missing for a long time now, but it really elevates not only the story, but the gameplay as well. You're able to flesh things out more from other characters' perspectives in the story, as well as keep gameplay fresh and fun by giving the characters different abilities. However, if I were to give Sonic Team some constructive criticism, I would say that more time should be spent on making sure these characters have a fun moveset. While I do love being able to play as characters like Tails and Knuckles, the gameplay is not as fun as playing as characters like Sonic or Blaze. Overall, having a wide selection of characters to play as opens the door for more fans to play as the characters that they love. The stages in this game are something that I think Sonic Team really nailed down. A lot of the more recent modern Sonic games have pretty short levels for the most part. Personally, I have no qualms with this.
You serious?
But it is nice to have levels that take longer than 3 minutes to complete. There are multiple ways that these levels open up, and players have the freedom to beat these levels the way that they want to. I really enjoyed the diversity of the biomes in these levels too. We go from grassy plains to dense jungles, frozen tundras, and forgotten deserts. It's really nice seeing the game make itself feel like you're going on an adventure and include more than one biome, because we all know how hard that is apparently. I've always enjoyed the modern Sonic gameplay loop. Something about the homing attack is really satisfying to me. I think it's the fact that you can string them together to reach other areas while going really fast. Once again, the combat in this modern title felt very satisfying for the most part, and I even enjoyed how they utilized Silver, with his combat being the ability to throw objects at enemies, or use the corpse of the enemy as a weapon.
Diabolical!
Now, unfortunately, not all the combat lands, as some characters have weird moves like Tails throwing a box of fake rings for some reason.
Watch this. What the heck are you doing?
That's what I'm talking about.
But this problem is made up for by his maneuverability, and honestly, that goes for most characters in the game that have less interesting combat. It's made up for in other areas like agility. Now, I think that the thing that most fans can agree on is that the story is the best part of Sonic 06. It's been so long since we've had a good story that actually feels like there are some genuine stakes to it. Most Sonic games in the past decade have been aimed at a younger demographic, but it seems that they don't understand that even a younger audience can still enjoy a good story without it being dumbed down and filled with subpar jokes. This is why I appreciate the story, because no matter how off the rails it is, it doesn't lose its identity by dumbing itself down. It's over the top and goofy, but by now that's what you expect when you get a Sonic game. Unfortunately for me, this is where the positives end and the problems of this game begin to show. So I want to preface this section by saying that I do enjoy this game, but that doesn't mean that it is flawless or free from criticism. Just like any other art form, games are open to scrutiny, and there are so many issues that plague this game. For starters, the load times are insane. It'll take about 20 seconds for a loading screen to pass, followed by you loading in for a second, and then going back to another loading screen. The optimization is so poor, and I'm not quite sure what went wrong here. Honestly, even with how annoying loading screens are, it really wouldn't bother me so much if it wasn't so easy to die in this game.
Your trust, kid.
Your vehicle tips over and you fall through the map, you die. You glitch out a bit, you die. You fall due to poor controls, you die. I mean, it's so frequent that after dying so much and spending so many hours in loading screens, you gotta take a break and go touch some grass. And you know what? Since we mentioned poor controls, can we talk about why the camera controller is inverted? It feels so weird to get adjusted to, it just makes the gameplay feel awkward at first. It doesn't help that when you're platforming, these controls make every moment feel like you're walking a tightrope. This is exemplified when you're playing the mock speed sections. I was clenching my cheeks playing this. You're moving incredibly fast, and the controls handle like a brick trying to swim. There would be so many moments in the mock speed sections where if you turn just a little, you would wind up crashing into something and dying. These sections in particular are just really painful to get through, even though the concept of them sounds fun.
Well, go ahead, try a turn. Tina, why are you groaning? You're doing fine. Tina, relax. Easy. Easy. Okay. Tina, you're kind of headed toward the only other car in the lot. You have plenty of time to turn, Tina, so just go ahead. Turn one way or the other. You're just swerving back and forth. Turn one way and stick with it, Tina. Tina, for the love of God! Turn away or stop! The brakes, Tina, on the left! You're about to hit that car! The brakes! Hit the brakes!
I touched on this a bit earlier, but the frame rate in this game takes a beating. It really feels like you're playing in bullet time for a good portion of the game, which is kind of cool, but you can obviously tell that this isn't supposed to be happening. I don't want to sit here and fault a game for technical limitations, but they should have had this game running at a more consistent frame rate, even if that meant getting rid of the physics engine that they were using. One of the most infuriating parts of the game, in my opinion, was the side quests. They all felt like padding with no substance. You'll go and battle the same copy and pasted enemies, and then when you finish that nonsense and ask the NPC what that was for, they'll respond by saying something like,
"Well, I was actually coming out here to pick up a cupcake."
It just feels like they could have made the open world tie-in better instead of making it feel so disjointed from what's going on in the story. Also, I'm not sure if I just suck, but some of these challenges are deceptively hard.
It's a trap!
I struggled for a long time on the shadow mission where I had to win a race, but my car would either not go fast enough or I'd spin out and crash. These side missions just wound up not being fun and added nothing to the narrative. Lastly, this game just feels like untapped potential. There's a lot here that is wrong with the game, more than I'd bother to sit here and talk about because it's all been documented very thoroughly already, but it's very clear that this game had a lot of cool ideas that almost work but don't quite hit the mark. It's just sad to me because while this game does get its share of fair criticism, I also don't think it gets enough respect for what it does try, and it will forever be a note as a horrible game lost to time. Playing this game in 2022 has honestly been a blast. I'm going through a period of time where it feels like not a lot of games are hitting the spot for me, besides the occasional Fall Guys with my friends.
Climb world record, here we go.
We're all in like this little pack right here. Freddy.
So it's nice to have a single player game that managed to have me engaged and really dive into all its content. It's interesting playing it too on the brink of Sonic Frontiers coming out. I'm noticing that Sonic Team has learned a lot from past games and they're improving upon ideas in these games like 06. I think it's fair to say that I understand why this game is clowned on so much, but I also see why a lot of people still consider this their favorite Sonic game. No game is perfect and anyone can find enjoyment in a game even if it's not put together the greatest. I really enjoyed the story and the ambition that this game offered, but in terms of execution, they dropped the ball and that's when the game feels like a drag.
Man, what a drag.
Personally, I'd rather watch someone play the game because it's really funny seeing how people react to different glitches, but I'd also say that the game is overhated. I hope that at some point in the future, this game is made backwards compatible on the next-gen Xbox systems. That would alleviate the loading times and the frame rate would be a lot more stable, which would make this game a lot more enjoyable, but even if that doesn't happen, I still think that this game has a lot of value for Sonic fans, and I would recommend playing it if you can. There's a lot to look forward to right now with the future of this franchise, And I think that by looking back at these older games, we can get a good sense of where this series came from and where it's heading. I want to thank you all for sticking around. It really means a lot. If you have any feedback or questions, drop them in the comments. I love hearing what you guys have to say. With that all said, I hope you all have a nice day. Peace.